Black businesses matter ultimately to help our communities and to help our youth advance to levels that the previous generation weren't able to get to through, in some cases, some very invisible factors. But Black businesses ultimately also help to create visionary opportunities. Because if you think about it, everything that you do really starts with an idea. Everything that we do and almost in life, it starts with an idea. It starts with something that's very invisible. What I believe is that we need to expose Black youth to more Black businesses to create more of the art of the possible for what our youth can end up doing or accomplishing or achieving in their lives.
Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode, we will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equity, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders. Black Business Matters podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer marketing and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. I'm Larvetta Lofton, your host and founder of the L3 Agency. Welcome to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. I'm super excited. Season 2, we've just been having so much fun talking about wealth creation and talking about how people were first introduced to wealth. So this particular season has just been amazing to hear from Black business owners, Black creators, and now we have an opportunity to talk to a Black tech founder. I'm excited to bring Horace on to Black Businesses Matter. It took us a while to get him, but he is the CEO and co-founder of Sway Brand. He is a man that champions creativity, culture, and authenticity, and he has built a multicultural media technology platform that helps both brands and agencies to connect with diverse influencers. And so we're excited. He's going to talk about his journey to getting to this place. And we just love it because as an agency owner and a founder, to know that there is a platform where we can identify influencers for our clients and be able to identify them from all diverse backgrounds across the country, both international. And I'm excited about Sway Brand. So Horace, welcome.
Larvetta, thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting, so much fun. The value and the utility and the production of what you all are doing here is amazing for us and for our community and for uplift. And so kudos to both ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. So we want to talk about your journey. How did you get to build Sway Brands? And where did this all come from?
Absolutely. Well, my journey really starts off with how I was raised. Fortunately, two parents from the south side of Chicago, and they moved my sister and I to the burbs, Larvetta, and we had a great childhood. I'm not gonna lie, we had a great childhood with a two-parent household, and I'm blessed for that. My dad, he set me up. My parents, my mom, they set us up, and so I was able to explore things like video games and taking apart computers, building computers at an early age. And I was also pretty disciplined in school. I had good grades. I realized I was good in math and science, and I wanted to be an engineer, after introducing myself to tech stuff and really having the exposure. And that's what I did. I grew in kind of my understanding of tech. I went off to undergrad. I did computer science and computer engineering. But more than that, I was always close to technology. I was really close to it. I was close first and foremost through the world of video games. I was familiar with it. I knew about it. And then I wanted to learn more about it in my academic studies. And so that was really the genesis of my career. And I wanted to take that really to the next level.
I'm teasing you, and I love your story that you're from the South Side of Chicago, two-parent homes. I think it's great to hear it because we don't hear it enough, right? We know it exists. We just don't hear it enough. I'm really happy that you were able to share that. So, Horace, would you say you were kind of like this kind of tech nerd, or were you just like this just super duper curious gamer?
No, I would say I was, I mean, growing up, I would say I was a gamer. I think my childhood was defined by three things. And this is outside of school. It was sports, family, and yeah, it was video games. So yeah, that was.
And you were serious with it. Were you one of those serious people? Because I play video games, guitar.
Oh,
Were you serious? Like so serious? Like no, I will beat you. Like were you one of those competitors?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it was like
Okay.
Street Fighter Two, the Maddens, early Maddens. This is on the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. This is early after Atari, but very early. But yeah, a lot of this really helped me forge my curiosity. And
Mhm.
again, I was fortunate enough to have some opportunities and a little bit of resource. I mean, we were definitely middle class, but I had a few opportunities to explore and to advance my curiosities in tech. And looking back right now, it's something that I champion and that I encourage African Americans that I see similarities with to do as well. You know, you like apps, you like video games, you like Instagram, you like Snapchat, you like using this technology at home. Maybe it's Alexa or whatever it is. You know, usually something is backed and built by tech in today's world. And what backs and builds them are complete tech teams. And I want them to understand that they can be a part of those tech teams. They can be those engineers. They could be those computer scientists that are in fact helping these companies build these things. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent, but I like to bridge that gap, if you will, Larvetta, and spark that interest as well.
I appreciate it. I'm a storyteller. I love to hear the whole story because I just think it's so fascinating to hear the whole story. And because it makes sense on Sway Brands. And I want to talk about Sway Brands because obviously we have it. Influencers, right? We got nano, we got micro, we got macro, we got influencers everywhere. So we obviously are in that business and have been in the business for quite some time. But now there's a platform that I believe makes it easier. So let's talk about Sway Brands and what it has been able to do for obviously agencies. But the biggest thing is that a place where creators get to have access. I mean, they get to actually publish their information and have access, kind of like this database. And it's interesting because when I stumbled across, and I did stumble across Sway Brands before I was introduced to you, what I thought was unique was that, wow, wouldn't it be cool if it was just like one place where you can just kind of connect with them, kind of get to know them, build that relationship, and then present to them. And you found, and you did that. So I want to talk about your journey to building this platform.
Yeah, and the journey is, and the genesis of it was really what our understanding and experience taught us about culture as well. And we realized that there was a rather big gap between corporate brand marketing teams and the diversity in those teams, the lack of diversity in those teams. And in culture, AKA our culture, Black American culture, actually drove marketing trends. And not only drove marketing trends here in America in white suburbia, but also we drive marketing trends and this level of cool throughout the world, multinationally. And so our understanding of that and our intimate understanding of the fact that brand marketing teams weren't very diverse, yet we're looking for ways to tap into the culture, tap into trend to ensure that their product, services, and campaigns were in fact reaching a level that started to be cool. And everybody understands that, hey, if something is cool, you can't really buy that. You can start to try to engineer it, but when something reaches a cool point, then that's when you can't really avoid it. You know, that's when you parents have to go out and buy these shoes, or they got to go out and support their kids at this concert and et cetera, et cetera. It's a movement. Brands would love to be part of those movements, but yet we actually control those movements. If you think about it, like what is cool in our society in America that we haven't actually validated? Think about the power we have as Black Americans and it really as the gateway to cool. Like if there's a door, like literally a physical door, and on one side of it is a campaign or a product or a brand or a business, and on the other side of it is literally cool. What makes a brand cool? There's very few examples of that actual door that separates the two that we don't control. Number one, I want us as a people to understand that. And then number two, that's really what the foundation of our business is. And so it really is, Larvetta, it's beyond this word influencer, because we believe that there's so many parts of our culture that influence greater culture in America and multinational in the biggest way.
That's good, because it's also understanding that we've used this word, and I know, I've been in this business, we've had key decision maker, taste makers, right? Influencers and thought leaders. So I'm excited that you're expanding that reach because it is greater than just influencers. So I do want to talk through around how does it work? How is a creator or someone who sees themselves as a creative, how can they participate in the platform? And then obviously I understand how brands can, but how is like an individual digital creator, I'm online, I don't really get no one knows about me per se, right? How can they get involved?
Sure. Yeah. And that's the other genesis for why we wanted to found and start Sway Brand, is because we saw that our people in general, our athletes, influencers, artists, some of our local celebrities, talent and creators and everything in between didn't have all of the access points needed to create branded, AKA paid for content for brands at scale and with regularity. And so we saw this opportunity to say, hey, look, we need to build this platform to make sure that we're looking out for BIPOC creators, athletes, artists, et cetera, influencers, so that we can properly ensure that they have a means to monetize their creativity or their influence or whatever their passions are through these big brands and through these local brands, right? So that's really the other genesis side of why we created it. But it is, in fact, Larvetta, is way more than an influencer. It's certainly an athlete with influence. It's a celebrity with influence. It's an artist of any type with influence. It's a creator of any type with influence. Influence is also subjective because it doesn't matter if you have 3,000 followers or 3 million followers. There are people that you, in fact, influence through your creativity or through your creative work. And so the definition is actually very broad. For us, again, we champion BIPOC creators. We champion creators that look like us primarily because we see that these brand marketing teams don't usually discover us until we're like, peaking, and so we think that brands stand to identify and see our talent before it hits the mainstream and also pay us for it.
Yeah. And, it's crazy because I think as you were talking, I feel like as agencies, we become the influencers to the brands, right? And introducing them because we are introducing them to something they've never seen or heard. And I do think that it's challenging because, to your point, I mean, we've had it, and I've actually shared this story probably on a couple of podcasts of just someone we had, they were just like, and Lovey of JJ, I'm sure you know her. But in their minds, who is that? What? Excuse us? And I mean, and now she is an international speaker, professor now, author, you name it. But I love that you're creating a space an equitable space where all creators have a space to be heard and seen. and however they use their influence, wherever. And I think that's so important because brands typically, right, have the 5 celebrities that we use over and over and over again. And to me, I think it dilutes the brand. But when you can get something that's cool, I like you said that's cool or cooler, because we are part of the cool brand. We are the cool group. And so I think that with Sway Brand and knowing that, I think it also, validates our creators who may feel like they're not included into the other influencers because they don't fit that particular mold, if you will. So I do like that it's very inclusive to multiple industries. So you have industries, and there's fashion, but there's all industries, right, that people can join as a creator.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that because of, it just allows for people to be able to not be pigeonholed, I guess. So, and people can go where, if they are a digital creator and they're listening, where can they go and create an account?
Swaybrand.com, SWAYBRAND.com. And there's a big pink button on the homepage. It says Creator Early Access. That's actually a unique color for Sway Brand. We call it Sway Lava. Sway Lava. Sway Lava. Big Creator Early Access button right there.
Oh, it is. It's right on the homepage. So for those that are listening and you are a content creator online and you want to be able to access brands who might be looking for your level of content, this is a platform that you should consider putting your information. Is there a fee?
No, the platform is completely free for creators. Completely free.
So let's talk about on the agency side. For the agencies, how do agencies engage with the Sway?
So agencies engage with Sway Brand primarily to help their brands that they contract with find diverse talent, start to help their brand partners vet diverse talent, and ultimately deliver to their brand partners content created by that matched and vetted talent that you can source through our platform. So agencies really serve as kind of like intermediaries, and we serve as a tech tool and as a tech platform as simply a tool to help marketing agencies do their work with brands.
And so when you talk about it from the standpoint for do your work, so do you all just say, here's our recommendations and provide them with a kind of like snapshot? Here's their followers. Here's what people say to them. Like, how does that work for the agencies?
Yep. So we always take a little bit in from the brand or the agency as to what they're looking for. Perhaps what they're looking for is to engage with a specific preset or pre-identified audience. Or perhaps what they're looking for is content to place over a social media platform. And so we collect a little bit of that information up front, and then we get to work. Our platform works at identifying BIPOC creators in a couple different ways. And that's part of our special sauce. I think it's very unique to how we use both a quantitative and a qualitative means to help brands and agencies, first and foremost, discover and match with the right and most authentic group of talent.
That's awesome. And I say it's awesome because it's just, and I'll say this, in my early career ad agency, we used to work with a company, you may be familiar, to pull, it was really for celebrities called William Morris Agency. It's still around.
Yep.
But it was for actors. And so whenever, because we work with these big brands, we were identifying actors who wanted to do more corporate sponsorships. They were interested, outside of their acting career. And so that agency would, obviously we foster a relationship. They would present a profile. They would give us, so it's just that same, but it's more, right? That was just for actors. and, singers, but the idea of like creators and what's that guitarist that you may want to find that's online that you've never thought to leverage for
Yep.
your brand, So I just think it's so much more than, granted, we have beauty bloggers and influencers, but even when I think about it from, kind of like music is like the person that makes the beats, that's just not Pharrell Williams, right? It's somebody else out there that is creating beats right now and is creating access for whether that's jingles for brands. So I absolutely love it. And I love how it just has one place and it's owned by a Black business. So I'm super excited about that. I do want to just share this with our podcast listeners because we didn't talk about it, but I just gotta say it because you hold an MBA from the Wharton School. Like, I don't know anybody from the Wharton School, so I just want to just put that out there a little bit for folks to know that you have this Ivy League background to help you launch this tech platform. And one thing I do want to ask as someone who went to an HBCU, I want to say, when you get an Ivy League background, do you find that it was helpful for you to raise funding coming from there?
Yes, it was, but it didn't. I wouldn't say it put me over the top.
Absolutely.
I don't think that any level of education can put Black people over the top and into an equal playing field with our white counterparts. What I believe is that ultimately you can sell almost anything to anyone if three factors are involved. Know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. And this is a Jewish man taught me this out in DC as I was doing patent consulting. And throughout my life, I found it to be so true. Know, like, and trust, Lavetta, is so very key. And I think the difference is that usually as a Black person, we're usually pitching to a group of white people for investment capital and to raise capital, usually. And if we are pitching, we're ultimately looking to evangelize or sell something or there's a call to action, right? And so the no factor can be checked. The like factor can be checked. The difference is the trust factor. And there's various things that I think can be done by us Blacks to advance our trust factor, not only with anyone, right? It doesn't matter who we're talking to. And I believe that one of them is what we've accomplished in the past, right? And so, yeah, your education does matter. I think it does matter. It will set you up for success, but it won't be the factor of why it contributes to your ability to raise capital, because I cannot say that holding an MBA with a dual degree and dual emphasis in finance and entrepreneurial management from the Wharton School has significantly contributed to my success. Now, what it has done is it has put me in situations that set me up for that. And it probably has increased the level of trust to whoever I'm pitching to. But just take that for what it's worth.
I'm just glad that you brought it up, but you also said that, you know what, your parents set you up. So I think it's a combination, right? You have the foundation with your parents, they set you up. Your foundation from an educational standpoint set you up. So I think those are two fundamental things that I think help to be able to set you up to win. But the struggle is still very much a struggle. It's still a struggle. So I get that. And I appreciate you showcasing that in a way so that people don't misinterpret what you were saying around that. So I think that is important. I do want to just ask you a bit, because we've been talking about Black wealth. And so for you, what is Black wealth for you? What does that mean for you?
This is the best part. And for me, Black wealth, it means many things, but it means, to me, it's self-sufficiency. It is self-sufficiency of our own community. It is the self-sufficiency of us as both individual families and as a Black community to be able to produce, to be able to transact in commerce, and yes, and to ultimately build generational resources that can help advance our communities in education and in ownership. And that's what Black wealth to me means.
That's good. Now, did your parents introduce you to Black wealth, or was that something you learned in your journey?
No, they didn't. My parents did the best that they could. We were certainly middle class. Like I said, I had a 2-parent household in Hazel Crest, Illinois, in the south suburbs. As I look back, that is exactly what set me up. That set of circumstances and that environment set me up for the opportunity to make wealth as a Black man. But I think the definition of it has come from my understanding on my own and my understanding and my experience. So it's all important right now, I think, for us as a community. And it has, long-term generational effects on people, right? And so if you look at what's happening in Silicon Valley and within the world that we play in tech startups, generational wealth is being created by ownership and by creating platforms and tech and apps. And we're not participating in it as much as I'd like us to. And both from a standpoint of who's founding these companies that go on to sell to other companies or to IPO for billions of dollars, and who actually works at these companies. And that's where I believe God has put me to help course correct.
I love the word course correct, Horace. So I just typed that. I love course correct because I believe it's a word that we don't use enough. So we asked this question, Horace, you're guest of Black Businesses Matter. So we ask, why do Black businesses matter?
To segment from what I just said, I think Black businesses matter to ultimately to help our communities and to help our youth advance to levels that the previous generation weren't able to get to through, in some cases, some very invisible factors. But Black businesses ultimately also help to create visionary opportunities. And so if all the youth sees and all the kid or child sees is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different things that people that look like them do, then that's going to be, generally speaking, what they gravitate towards or what they think in their mind they can do. And so if our youth is seeing, for the most part, as people in fashion that look like us, people in sports that look like us, people in music and entertainment that look like us, then we haven't really created a lot of opportunities for them to at least envision what they can be. And I think that that's where we need to really focus on with our next generation, is making sure that we set up efforts to champion and bring to the spotlight people and folks that are like yourself, that are doing things within the world of business and ownership, because it creates other ways for our children and for our youth to even imagine and start the process of imagining what they can be. Because if you think about it, everything that you do really starts with an idea. Everything that we do and almost in life, it starts with an idea. It starts with something that's very invisible. What I believe is that we need to expose Black youth to more Black businesses to create more of the art of the possible for what our youth can end up doing or accomplishing or achieving in their lives.
And I appreciate that you're speaking from that, because one of the things when I started this podcast, what I had discovered is that Black businesses are the largest employers of Black people as a unit, right? And so we have that power. And it's interesting because I just love when you bring up young people, but one of my former interns, and she loves to work. She actually loves working for Black businesses. So she left me, of course, and went to another Black company. And she says, for me, that's just where I want to be. And I think it's beautiful because that was her first entry was to work for our company, and then she's at another company. And I think it's so powerful because we know the negative things that are out there that I just believe are just negative rhetoric and they don't have any value, but that's sometimes what is always being told and not the positive stories,
Right.
right? The
Right.
positive stories that this particular person saw value in working at a Black business. So I just wanted to tell our listeners, if you're listening, we're talking to Horace Flournoy, who is the co-founder of Sway Brand. You can find more information at swaybrand.com. They are also on Instagram as Sway Brand. So if you are a digital creator, you can sign up. If you run an agency and you want to leverage their services to bring access to a different diverse group of creators, you can certainly work with them. As we wrap up, Horace, you have this tech platform and, there are several people that are listening that may have this vision that they have and have always wanted to do in the tech space. Like, can you provide or kind of like has been your kind of like Horace top 3 or 5 tips, right? That you find really works for a person of color that you think works in this space of tech?
Great question. So I've obviously hit my head a whole bunch of times, and I try to ensure that the next woman or guy that is seeking any type of understanding from me doesn't hit their head on the very same things that I hit my head on. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, you kind of you level up the most when you do in fact hit your head, but it doesn't got to be that way. So for me, in being in tech, what I found first and foremost, and I probably have enough nuggets to take us into another segment here, so I'll keep it short, but it's having an introductory kind of cursory level of understanding of the tech. And I think the more that you can kind of educate yourself on understanding baseline, core, and foundational levels of what the technology is and what it does, A, you'll save money in the end. And B, you'll be able to build on a knowledge set that will start to increase. And, yeah, I understand that not everybody is technical and there's not that many people that even want to be close to the technology or the technology component of their business. But, make no mistake about it, technology is in all of our businesses right now. And so it's something that we shouldn't avoid in learning the building blocks of.
Horace, this is the part that we ask all of our guests, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? Great question. I find joy in the expression and the usage of the talents that God gave me. And part of the usage is certainly about how I can help others do the same thing with their talents. And so that's what really helps me find joy is being creative and being a creator. I believe that God made all of us creators, and I find joy in that. I find joy in creative ideas. I find joy in utilizing the talents that God gave me. I find joy in helping other people do the same thing. I do like to travel. I think as I've thought about it, traveling helps me digest ideas. And then I like to be in outdoors as well. And usually that means somewhere near the water. Family. Family is another big one that brings me joy. I'm with family now, and just being with family and friends and laughter brings me joy.
Thanks, Horace. Every time I ask that question and I hear the answer, it always makes me smile and it gives me chills because every guest has a different response about what brings them joy. And so I know that it's important that the work that we do and the work that you do is highlighted based on the joy that you receive from it, because we know it's bigger than what you do. It is bigger than you being the founder. And we really thank you for just sharing. I want to make sure that we get out your kind of these three things that you feel from those who are building, those are even currently going through the process, to give them kind of like, and you said it, like Horace tips. These are the Sway, just Horace tips that you've learned along the way.
Yeah. Number one, know what you're getting into. Know it as best as you can. Become an expert in what you're getting into. Number two, invest a little bit of time. Don't think that you don't have the time to invest in even, I think, a cursory level of knowledge or understanding about the tech component of what services or drives your business model. And then number three, I think it's always great to have many wise people around you. And so don't be afraid to build a tribe of talented individuals that may have crossed a bridge before you have. So those would be my three takeaways.
Those are good. And I just want to say for the record, Horace, when I talked to you, you gave me like 3 tips that I needed to make sure that I stayed on as I go for acquisition, if that was the direction that we want to go in. So you are a born teacher. Okay. I just want to say that you have the teacher in you.
Oh, thank you.
You have a teacher in you. And I think it's such a beautiful thing, because I love to be a student. So obviously, I just love being a student of life. And that is, and I think because you're a teacher, it allows for you to allow for your teams to be curious and okay with their questions, because that's important. That's so important, to be able to ask questions. So I just want to say that little tidbit, because you certainly gave me some great advice on as a business owner. And I think that's something that we all have to just glean in from others, even though we may not be in the industry. And I just want to say this too, that I love that you said, we all in tech. We talking on tech.
Right. Everything we do it has a layer of technology in it. So don't try to avoid it that much. I understand we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Trust me. But well, first of all, I think that the more you expose yourself to something, the more familiar you are. And then over time, so it's just about giving yourself a little bit of patience if you're not really that technical. But I can guarantee you can learn it. And I'm a student as well. I like to learn. And that's one of the lifelong callings on my life. I like to learn myself. And so it feels good to help spread what you've learned in a positive way.
I was just sharing with a friend, Horace, real talk just the other day, because I love to read books. And I have bookshelves. I just love it. But I was saying how my dad, bless his heart, so my parents would buy, encyclopedias. They would come and you would have the encyclopedias, whatever. So whenever we would ask a question, we could never get an answer from our parents. Like, it was always go to the encyclopedia. Like, it was never anything that they were going to tell us. Like, okay, just that encyclopedia. But it was also because we purchased it too, right? We purchased it for you to read, and it's a wealth of information. And it's crazy because there's moments where I'm like, why do I always like, let me go find more information about this. Let me go find. And I just had an epiphany, like it was those darn encyclopedias.
It was all the encyclopedias.
So I appreciate Horace being a guest on Black Businesses Matter. I just want you to, as we close out, certainly how people can connect with you, connect with the brand, if you can reinforce that for us.
Yeah, great. No, again, Sway Brand believes that the best way of marketing and promoting whatever you're doing, whatever your product, your service, your campaign is through someone else. It's through the word of mouth. It's through the authentic story, the authentic experience, perspective, actually, of someone that's not a part of your brand. And that's what Sway Brand engineers for brands and agencies everywhere. we'd love to talk more. www.swaybrand, SWAYBRAND.com. And you can find us on Instagram at Swaybrand. So thank you again. Thank you, Larvetta, for having me. This has been a treat and certainly fun. And looking forward to more conversations.
Thank you so much, Horace. It took us a while to get you, but we got you. We got you right when we wanted you and needed you. So we thank you for being able to share your journey, your story, your impact, and what you're doing at Sway Brands. And I just want to say thank you to our listeners. Thank you all for keeping up with us as we continue to keep up with you and bring amazing, uplifting stories, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, business leaders in this, even in our D&I space. So we are so excited about what's to come for Black Businesses Matter. So please stay tuned for more. Check us out. We have a new Instagram handle at Black Businesses Matter. So definitely you can check out some of our previous episodes. But thank you again for listening to Black Businesses Matter.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this week on Black Businesses Matter podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen so you will never miss a show. You can also follow us on social media at the L3 Agency and at Larvetta Speaks. If you love the show, leave a rating so that we can continue to bring you impactful episodes. You can also take the pledge and order our merch at our website at thell3agency.com. THEL3agency.com. Thanks for listening and see you next week.